My name's John Boutte. For those of you who haven't met me, I'm co-chair of the Southwest Common Council, along with Lynette Robinson, but she's not feeling too well right now, so I got a call a little while ago. So I'll be winging it. What do we got first? Okay, well, we'll start off with Bill Carpenter, who is here to talk to us about the changes in the, or the considered changes for the bus routes in the Rochester. Turn it over, Bill.
So, and at this point, I'll invite Julie and Joy to come up. I don't know if it's easier for us to stand up or sit down. Do you have a preference?
Whatever's comfortable for you.
I'm going to sit down because of projectors behind me. I guess a little bit about why we're doing what we're doing. Public transit funding for upstate New York has been constrained. What I mean by that is essentially flat for the last 10 years. We're up about 15% above where we were 10 years ago, 1.5% per year from the New York State. That makes up about 40% of our funding. Federal government makes up about 15% of our funding. It's about the same as it's been for the last 15 years. And then the dollar fare has been the same for about 20 years. At the same time, we've got seniors who want us to do more, millennials who don't want to own a car. So what we've been doing for the last 6 or 7 years is going the same places less and less frequently, which if you use a bus, you know how difficult it is. It takes you a long time to get to work, or you don't run errands on the store, to the store evenings and weekends because the buses don't come frequently in the week. So what we're trying to do is figure out where should our 40 and 60 foot buses go, and go regularly so people can use them as a lifestyle choice. We hired a consultant about a year ago. That consultant took a look at all our data, did research. I guess I'm getting into your presentation now, right? We've been losing about 5 or 6% ridership the last 2 years. When we look at May 2018 compared with May 2017, we're down about 5%. That's been going on for a couple of years. What our customers are saying is, we don't like your product. We want other choices. So we started a year ago with what we call REimagineRTS, where we would take the route system we've got that's been in place for 30 or 40 years and reimagine it. Where does a 40-foot bus go regularly? And that's going to give us some geographic areas that are not served by a 40-foot bus. And after we get done the conversation on the 40-foot bus, we're going to start working on the mobility zones, which will be this fall and next winter. And this time next year, we have a plan to share with the community. So essentially a year from now, we should have the full plan. And our goal would be to implement that a year later, because we're going to have to do a lot of education, we're going to have to make changes. There's different places where people want to catch a bus, make sure they're sheltered. So what we're here tonight, I met with Legislator Lightfoot about 3 weeks ago. Shared what was going on. He said it would be good for this neighborhood group to hear about it. And, so standing up is Julie Tolar. Julie is Director of Planning for RTS. She's the one working most closely with the consultant. And immediately to my left is Joy Pacheco. Joy is Manager of Community Outreach. She's done a lot of these presentations. I think if it had just been a regular invite, Joy and Julie would have come, but Legislator Lightfoot invited me personally, so I'm here as well. And I'll be taking notes. We're in the process. The consultant has given us recommendations. We're looking to get feedback on those recommendations so we can provide them to the consultant. Over the course of the next year, nothing's finalized until the whole thing is finalized. So my guess is there's some people here that live on Magnolia Street, which is a street we identified as would be a way for us to serve a portion of the neighborhood because the streets are so narrow. And certainly want to hear your perspectives on that. We'll continue to have that conversation.
Can you say again when the, I know you're collecting stuff now, when you plan to put a proposal out?
Full proposal will be spring or summer of 2019.
So this is still in the planning process, is that what you're saying? So
Correct.
nothing's set in concrete as of yet?
It's not even set in sand.
So could you just recap for me what exactly, are you having the buses go down Magnolia now?
Yeah, she has a presentation to
Oh,
show,
okay.
and
Yeah.
she'll show the
So-
bus routes for all of us.
Okay.
And just for background, I handed out flyers to get them, to make them aware that the proposed is to come down your street. And if you had concerns, that it's important to come here because the opening to communicate your concerns ends this month. And so maybe we have missed the meeting here in our neighborhood. And so he was kind enough to say, I can bring some, we can come.
Well, because
Wait
this is
a
the
minute.
first we're
This is-
hearing about it, so I'm not sure.
No,
how-
this ain't the first. It's in
This is the first I'm hearing about it.
this
Otherwise,
is
I
what I
wouldn't-
know. So that's
I'm
why
not sure how the communication is going out.
that billboard over there on Broad, I guess, and whatever
We
else.
live
they're
on
doing.
Magnolia Street, so why would we look at a billboard on Broad?
So,
No, but you got opportunity today, though. You got opportunity right now.
so we have a few slides to go through that have some information on them. So let's see if we can just go through those quickly and see if that helps with anything. We'll talk a little bit about the feedback that we've heard already, and then we can specifically talk about Magnolia Street and any other questions that everyone has. But it's important to remember what Bill said is that so the only piece that we even have an idea of what's going to happen is the fixed route 40-foot, 60-foot buses. There's lots of other pieces that still have to go into this. There isn't going to be any kind of final service plan for the community for at least another year. So there's still a lot of time to give feedback. So just give us. Let me just ask to start. Who is aware of the plan, has seen the plan, knows what's going on, is leading up to it up to this point? So I have some slides talking about what we've done up to this point, and so I'm going to go through those kind of quickly. And if anyone has any questions, just let me know. Okay. So as Bill pointed out, this is the three main steps of this first part that we're doing with the consultant to identify what we should be doing with our fixed route buses. We went with goals, analyzing the data, and identifying what products would work well, and then looking at what the route structure would look like for that system for that third part. During the initial phase of this, we went out to the public before we did anything, and we just said, tell us what you think, what do you like, what do you not like. If you have a choice between us going more places or going less places more frequently, what would you rather have? We played a game where you got $10 and there were 8 different things you could say were the priority for the bus system and how would you split up your $10. There was lots of, there was an interactive survey. We were at the transit center. Through the course of all of that, we ended up collecting almost 12,000 surveys. We held 19 events, and then we did 11 employee events. So we made sure that all of our employees and the bus drivers and everyone was out of that initial feedback from the community about what do you think of the bus system and what do you want out of the new bus system. The top 3 things that we heard were people wanted more frequent service, they wanted faster, more direct trips, and they wanted less wait time. So based off of all of those surveys and feedback and input and priorities that we heard from the community, our consultant took all of that information, also talking to staff and talking to transit to include more options. So once we look at what this fixed route big buses are going to do, that we need to figure out some other options for other areas that we can be part of. So we're looking at that next. And then making sure that we coordinate with the community. So that is making sure that the buses go where the community needs them to go, and also making sure that if we are set up in a way that we can have a 40-foot bus system that functions well and has frequent service, that hopefully businesses and stores, retail, medical will want to locate on that network so that their customers and clients will be able to get there. Things will function better together. So the 3 recommends for the Rochester area are these. So frequent service that would run, so the frequent local service runs from 5 a.m. to midnight, and 6 to midnight on the weekends. And it runs 15 minutes from 6 to 6 on the weekdays, that 6 to 6 time, and then 60 minutes early morning and evening. The local service would be a second tier. That is, so there's 10 routes in the frequent network, there's 20 routes in the local network. The local service runs either 30 minutes during those peak times or 60 minutes during those off times. And then the community mobility zones are the areas that are not going to be served by the big buses on a fixed route, but areas where we need to look at other ways that we can provide service. So if we can't send a 40-foot bus out to Newark and back every day, what is another way that we can serve those customers that are trying to come in from Newark? So this is a chart showing what I was talking about, the frequencies of the frequent local service. This is the proposed network. So these maps are very small, and it's hard to see the details. They are all on the website, which you guys have the information about that on those cards that I put out. But there's orange lines in the middle that show the 10 frequent routes, and then the 20 local routes are in the blue. 2/3 of our existing customers would have access to that frequent service. That means that they would have access to buses that would be coming every 15 minutes, on weekdays, 30 minutes. The system is also very simplified, so the routes that we used to have that had a lot of little twists and turns and places we might go on some trips but on other trips, that's all streamlined in here so that the trips will be the same every time the bus goes out. And these green areas, so these green dots just signify the general area where we know that we need to provide some additional type of service. Those are called the community mobility zones. And the idea here is that as a next step after the fixed route piece is determined, we'll go back and hire another consultant to come back in and tell us in all of the different areas what are the best ways for us to provide additional options for people where the fixed route buses, big buses, don't make sense. So this is just highlighting the 10 frequent routes. And this is the routes. The one big change to this system is that there are two crosstown routes. So these routes do not go to the transit center. There's one that runs from West Ridge to East Ridge, and then one that runs Tolar down to Min, down to Henrietta. They actually will both be connecting somewhere up near Skyview Plaza, at the Medley Center. That's not something that we really have right now, or those kind of crosstowns that don't work.
workshops with major stakeholders in our community, coming together, reviewing the plan, giving feedback and input. We've also had public information sessions. We've been out with the public, doing an overview of the plan and getting feedback, getting information directly from customers and non-customers relative to what they like, what they don't like about the draft recommendations. I urge you, if you haven't looked at the recommendations, to go on to the internet. The full document is out there. It's an easy read, large print, and lots of visuals. But take some time and go through it and take a look at those 10 frequency routes and the 20 direct routes. We've also had pop-up sessions throughout the community at various community locations. So all total, by the time we end this month, we will have done 160 different events within the community, again, getting response and reaction to these draft recommendations. So what we've heard so far, I can tell you that the customers that we've talked to, the surveys that we've gotten back, they indicated to us that they like the frequency. They like knowing that a bus is going to come every 15 minutes. If they're standing at a bus stop, they know that a bus will be there 15 minutes or less. They like the shorter wait times, and they like the faster, more direct routes. They like the new 2 crosstown routes, because those crosstown routes intersect with other routes, like the frequency routes and the direct routes. So there's more mobility options within neighborhoods. They also like the consistency between the weekday time points and the weekend. If you utilize the bus now, you know that the weekends typically have a lot less service than the weekdays. And this is something that is going to be consistent across the entire week. The common themes that emerged as a result of the responses to the draft recommendations, customers have said that they want more routes and to be added to the throughput network. We have 10 now, but they're saying to us we want more. They're also saying they want more service on weekends and evenings. So we'll take a look at that as well. They want a north-south crosstown route on the west side of town. We've heard that. And they also want an east-west crosstown route closer to Center City. So we'll be looking at that as well. Common things that we've heard. Understand the need for the different options in the community mobility zones. The public wants more clarity. Unfortunately, we can't provide that clarity because we haven't made any decisions yet with regard to the fixed route. But they want to know what the options will be. They want to know how much it will cost. They're telling us they want options. They want to know which options will be in which zones. We can't talk about that yet. We have to work on the fixed route. We have to make decisions regarding that. Then we can talk about the other community mobility zones and hubs. They also want to know what the impact is going to be on the paratransit service area. But they have said that they want more access to more areas within the community. I can tell you that once we start looking at these different mobility options that's going to connect with our fixed route, they will be accessible for people with disabilities. They have told us that they are open to new options as long as they are accessible and provide more mobility. And so again, we're looking at that. And then there also are concerns about changes being made without a solution for the paratransit. And again, the way we have to work, because it's a fixed route and it somewhat determines the paratransit service area, we have to make decisions there first, then we can start to address those needs relative to our paratransit service area. Ultimately, for the business impact, questions exist about bus schedules and how they will interface with shift times. That's an important thing to people who are working and are dependent on the bus to get back and forth to their workplace. They also want desired access to job centers outside of the fixed route network. And again, we're looking at that. This is a biggie, the colleges. They want to know the impact on students, staff, and faculty, especially with regard to Rockport, MIT, U of R, Nazareth, St. John Fisher. And again, we're looking at that, and that to some degree will fall into those mobility zones that we talked about. And then the fare. What's the fare going to be once we get into this? I can tell you that the board has said that they want the fare to remain $1. We're a city that has a large poverty rate. We're dealing with that now, and we don't want to see an increase in fare for the fixed route. Now, once you get outside the fixed route, we'll have to see. Again, once we start looking at the various mobility options, we'll have to see what that looks like. So again, just to give you a sense for the timeline, in August, we will get the consultant's final set of recommendations for the fixed route network. And then in fall 2008, winter 2009, the study for the mobility options will start. And we will be back out in the community, wanting to hear from you, wanting to know where those gaps in service are, what you would like to see, and what you feel about this final set of recommendations. Then in the summer of 2019, we will present the service plan and the implementation plan. And then we anticipate seeing changes within our fixed route system in the summer of 2020. So again, to summarize, recommended changes that we've talked about, that we've seen in the draft recommendations, are in line with the guiding principles that were laid out, as well as the goals that we set going into this project. The new frequent routes will provide improved mobility for customers across the board. That was one of our goals. The new cross-town routes reduce customer traffic time and improve connectivity. So there are more mobility options within the fixed route relative to getting where you need to go when you need to get there. And then the service is much more simplified. It's easier to understand, and it will be easier to navigate. So again, I would say if you have an opportunity, go out on the website, look at the information, give us your input. There's a survey out there as well as an interactive map that you can review.
So has this website changed? Because when you go on to look at the map on the website, you really don't see the detail. In 19, we don't know what the 6 Jefferson is going to do, and it's going down Magnolia. And so we've already talked about, we understand the summary of the crosstown and everybody, but the people that's here, they're in the dinner time and they're concerned about what's happening on the street. And I would like for you to talk about that.
Okay.
Please.
So just to start out, we've stuck with the old route names. So whatever these new routes or these redesigned routes are based off of, it still has that old route name just because we haven't gone through the process of changing those, and we don't even know what we're going to do with those. That will happen down the road during an implementation plan. So the way that it gets talked about is that the 6 Jefferson is being discontinued or eliminated. The 25 is staying, except what's happening is that the 25 is now going to be coming down Jefferson. So the service on Jefferson is not being eliminated, but the old Route 6 Jefferson is being eliminated. And the new route will probably be called the something Jefferson Thurston. It'll have a new name. It might have a new number. We don't know that part of it yet. So that makes it a little bit confusing. What Bill, I think, had started mentioning before was that the consultant came in. They came into town. They rode the bus. They were here for 3 days. They looked at the system. They talked to people. They got it. They got input. And they went back and then looked at the ridership and where customers are, and they based a lot of their initial recommendations that they gave to us, months and months ago, off of data as well as off of being here. And initially, when they came back to us, they ridership to support this many routes. And so what they suggested was that we go from the 4 routes to down to 2 routes. And we were not necessarily thinking that was the best option. What we ended up with was basically keeping the, based off of ridership and, data that we have, and where customers are, and trying to cover the most area with 3 routes instead of 2. So we got the, we decided 3 was better than 2. We ended up with the basic pattern of the 19, so still service on Plymouth, and then the 4 and the 25. So what ended up happening was when that got wrapped into the draft recommendations in one of the early versions, Bill called me and said, why is there no service on Jefferson? And so what we ended up doing was looking at the way that it was laid out. So we have what's the 25 now and what's the 4 now, and looking at the fact that the 25 is coming down Main Street, coming down Genesee, the same way that the 4 does.
What is
So
the 25?
The 25 is the Thurston MCC.
Oh.
So it does Main to Genesee, but then it goes to Arnett and Thurston and goes down to MCC. So what we ended up doing was looking at taking, instead of having the 25 and the 4 do the same thing on Main and Genesee, let's take one of those and pull it over and have that serve Jefferson so that it still has service. What ended up happening by doing that is looking for a new route. We had to find a way to get the bus from Jefferson back across Genesee over to Arnett and Thurston. And so we looked at all of the cross streets, none of which are great, to have a bus go down and send out a road supervisor and have drivers look at and tell them. And so that was one of the streets that we felt like we could fit a bus down. And so in order to be able to have service on Jefferson, we had to find a way to get the bus over to the other side of Genesee.
Now, I understand what you're saying about your consultants and they spent 3 whole days. So my thing is, did they come down Magnolia Street during the time when the kids are getting out of school, and then you got people that live on the street and park on the street? The street is not that big to have. You got the school buses coming down, then you got traffic coming down. Now you want an RTS bus coming down. So what about the property, the homeowner's property when the buses are coming down? How do you propose to help with the upkeep on that?
We may need to look at another street, or we may need to look at not going down Jefferson. So this is why it's a draft recommendation. We want your feedback.
But if you come down Jefferson, you have to eliminate Jefferson altogether just because Magnolia won't work? What do you
Is there
have?
another street, the streets, is there another one you would recommend?
You need a wider street
I
than
think Earl
Magnolia.
Street is
Earl
a little-
Street is
is a
much
little bit
wider
wider.
than Magnolia Street.
I mean, I will tell you that, and I know this isn't, I'm not trying to diminish your concerns, but I drove down the streets. I drove down Magnolia. I mean, we had people in my department. We had road supervisors. We had like 5 or 6 different people. We
And did you drive down at different times of the day though?
No, we did not. I will.
Because
but
school buses
I-
come from both directions,
but
from
I
Jefferson
just
and
want you to
Genesee.
know
They
that
have to wait for
we
each
were
other.
trying, so we didn't just look on a map and say,
Right.
So we were really trying to find the best solution to do this because our main objective was to try to get a route back on Jefferson. And so we were trying to figure out a way to do that. And the reason I think that we have all of the 4 different routes right now that we have is because there's not a good way to get back and forth. But the problem that we're finding is that as we're trying to make the system run more efficiently, there's just not enough people in that area to support having 4 different routes. And so we went, we're trying to make the 3 work, and we're trying to find a way to get that routing. So we can look into Pearl. We can look
Earl.
into
You can look into
Earl.
Earl, but Earl has
Earl.
speed humps. See, and so so this is the issue, right? So I didn't have enough time because I would have brought every last one of them over there from the streets. Because when this one is eliminated, there's another one that's going to be picked up. This is what I'm telling you. There's going to be Shelter. It's
Right.
going to be Columbia,
You're gonna have the
or
same
something
problem.
like that.
Right.
Which
You're gonna have the same
but
problem.
it's going to come all the way down. And I just really can't understand that Jefferson Avenue doesn't have enough ridership. Now
It
we're already
does.
talking about the bus is not going to come down Bronson Avenue anymore. Which is what I ride. I live right here. So, but I don't mind. Okay? It's not about me. Okay, I'm not gonna stand here and advocate for the bus to come down in front of my house. But I gotta make sure that I gotta be people down here get service. And there's no way that these people, they gotta take care of business. And they're the poorest people. This is the poorest part besides the Northeast, Jefferson Avenue. And so when I was on council, they didn't want to put money down here. But we got the 3.8 million for Jefferson Avenue, which got us new bus stops. Now you don't want to use them.
Yeah.
We got new roads, new bump outs, whatever the case may be, 3.8 million for the people in my community. Now we saying we won't give them rides. They got to walk all the way to Genesee Street or hit all the way to Plymouth to carry their groceries, the few 4 or 5 bags they got from Tops or Wegmans,
So
because
if-
we know there's no fresh fruits here.
So I'm open to hearing what it is. We're not gonna solve it here.
No, Bill. So you're right, but we have to do it, and we can't say, well,
So-
just because they made a voice and then
Right,
they say,
exactly.
well, people say don't come down Magnolia, so we're gonna go down Shelter.
Right.
That's not right.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not.
And what I'm saying is, I understand exactly what you're saying. Is I don't think, to be honest, I don't think you should be able to use any of those streets because number one, in the winter times, those streets are horrible. They don't get plowed like they should be. So now you add a bus down on a street that doesn't get plowed, and it's going to be horrible. My mom and dad still live on that street, and I go over there every day. And
Which street is this?
Magnolia. And I mean, I understand when you say when your consultants come in, but when you say they come in, they don't live here. So I can understand when you come in and you do an evaluation, you go and look at stuff, and I can go and look at stuff, but when you don't live somewhere, you don't have a vested interest. You don't have a personal interest in where someone lives. So just to, I mean, like we were saying, we don't want it to go down Earl Street. We don't want it to go down Magnolia Street. Leave it where it is. I guess I'm not understanding, like the councilman, what is the problem with it still going? I've been over in the 19th Ward for over 40 years. That bus route has always been the same. I've never heard anyone complain about not being able to get the bus, the bus wasn't there on time. So I'm not understanding what needs to be changed and why.
Budget cuts.
So-
Can you define stakeholders? You said something about you talk to the stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders in the area? Who are these people? Because we wasn't talked to. You use that term,
Well, I was
stakeholders.
I say I wanted the stakeholders because he came down to the county legislature and talked to the politicians. So he talked to
Talk
the
to the
Democrats
politicians.
and he talked to the Republicans,
But not the
along with
residents.
whatever else they said that they did. But then he did come to me, and this is why we met one-on-one. And he showed I got more because I got frustrated in the meeting. So he said, "Well, look, John, we got to talk one-on-one, and I can show you more in detail." And so that's what we did. And I still walked out an hour and a half later with a headache. So I said, look, you're going to have to do this to the people. You're going to have to share it with them because, that's just what it is. And so that's why we're here. So you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because
So
I
you
don't
need to
understand
share
who the
your
stakeholders are because this just came.
Stakeholders included, service agencies, it included representatives from the medical facilities around town.
That don't live in the
lawyers,
community.
Employers, but they have an interest in people that work for them getting to and from work.
But their interest is more
But-
value than the homeowners that live in the
So
street.
technically,
So
technically a stakeholder is supposed to be anyone who's affected by a project, so including residents.
So we've had.
But it doesn't
we've had
seem that way.
We've had 4 public meetings, we've had 29 different events at the transit
These people
center.
have to-
But if it's not
Right.
affecting you
That's why we're
directly,
here.
all that is not. I mean,
We're not trying to hide from this. So we're gonna go back and take a look at it. So on Jefferson right now, the service is every 40 minutes. And when the service is every 40 minutes during the day, you've got to build your life around that 40 minutes. So the consultant is saying, you got to have the bus come more frequently. If the bus comes more frequently, we can't do everything we're doing now. And so that's my dilemma. I hear your pain. I don't want to go down Magnolia Street if it doesn't work for me. Are you telling me it doesn't work for me? So we got to find a way for it to work for we.
And be
Alright.
sure to check any street you're gonna go down during parking switchover times, when you got cars on both
you got
sides.
buses coming to
Because there are times that it's hard to get a car through.
You can't get there. That's hard now.
We didn't hear about any of these meetings. You say you've had so many meetings and so many, why we didn't get a flyer, a letter or something? Why the homeowners never got any information about this, the changes? We just, he came by and this is the first time, I don't know about the rest, but this is the first time we had heard about this. And y'all ready to put the proposal in.
I've gotten on a bus and asked people who have heard about REimagineRTS, and I've had buses where half the people say we haven't heard a thing. And I point up to the billboard inside the bus and I said, this is what I'm talking about right here. Who has heard about REimagineRTS? When we get off the bus at the transit center, I say, oh, the outside of the bus here, the big billboard ads that say REimagineRTS. Who's heard about this? Because I didn't know anything about it. So I know you haven't heard about it, but a lot of, we spent tens of thousands of dollars on the radio, we've got billboards. So we've tried to get it out there.
But you're getting it out to people who ride the bus, the people like me who don't ride the bus, and it will be affected directly by this. How is that word going to get to me?
I think
What I could do is on June 21st, I could come to a neighborhood meeting so that I could hear directly from you. This is why we're here.
No. So what can? So you heard the voice. You heard from people on the street. So you know that that's not what we want. So now, what can we do to help you get this problem solved? Is there something that we can do? Because you already know. Now that bus go down there. Now and then, so then
That's
who? All heck gonna break loose. But who approves the final plan? Is it just you, or is it other authoritative entities? Would the city have to approve it, buy into, or the state, or?
So the city appoints commissioners to my board, the county appoints commissioners to the board. Those are the ones we're going to have to ultimately.
The board votes it, and they're appointed from the different agencies.
And so do you just have any regular working people like myself on your board that continue these decisions?
No, you
yes,
didn't.
we do. Now, when you say like me, I'm not sure exactly what you mean, but Kelly O'Connor.
Somebody that lives in the city, goes to work, I've got parents, okay.
Jadine Johnson, I don't know if you know her, she's retired, was with the city for a long time. So,
But it's the same old. It gets to be political.
What's that?
It becomes political, and the residents are left out, who would be directly affected by it.
I think in this case, because you were talking about such a clicking in.
And it's nothing wrong with knocking door to door, the street and a block that's going to be affected. From Genesee to Jefferson or Magnolia is not a large area.
Amen.
So you could knock on doors. We all know each other. We're talking to each other all day long. We've been all there 30, 40 years.
So now the action on the table is what do we need to do to make sure that this doesn't happen? Because I could call you every day if that's what I need to
So
do.
we can take the Plymouth route and we can put that just down Jefferson and we can just send all the people on Plymouth that are going to get upset to you. No, I think, I don't know if there's really anything that we need to do. I mean, you guys have done what you need to do. You've told us your concerns, and now we need to find a way to incorporate that into changes in the
But that won't
recommendations.
mean in 2 years when this becomes effective that Magnolia will be used.
So, first of all, I would say that we can let you know what ends up happening with changes directly within, the next month or so. But outside of that, there will be a service plan that comes out to the public the summer of 19 that's going to show what's going to happen again. If it was still in there, you would have time to, again, come back and remind us that it needs to be changed.
Why would we keep coming back to remind you? I mean, how effective? That's not effective. That's what you're basically saying.
This is my boss here, so I'm just going to check first.
You've got a solution, sure.
Okay, so bus goes all the way down Jefferson to Plymouth,
Right.
and then it goes up Genesee, Arnett, back down. So what ends up making this square, which is the opposite of what we're supposed to do, right? The bus is supposed to kind of go in a straight line, which is one of the reasons why we were trying to find a side street to cut over so that it was a little bit more direct. Because now if you you get on the bus on Jefferson and you're trying to go to Strong, you have to go south and then west and then north and then west and then south and it ends up being this convoluted trip. However, that solves the issue of having to go down a side street. So it's something that we also looked at when we were looking at this change, but it didn't seem like the best choice. Now,
How is Magnolia cutting down Magnolia straight route?
because it
to
gets us
change
over to Arnett without having to go south and
You
then
still
back
gonna
north
have to
and
go
then
back.
back.
You
Right.
still gonna have to
Go to Genesee
maneuver
Street,
to go
and you're gonna
down,
have
go
to either go
up.
up or
But
down
it's
to get to
closer,
Arnett.
right? So it was so all other things being equal, it seemed like it was a good idea.
It's not.
But right, so now we're here
It's
and we're
definitely
hearing how
not.
bad of an idea it is, and you have very valid points. And so the solution to that then now, in order to weigh those in, is we go back to this other routing, which has some other cons associated with it, but also some pros. And so now that seems like that's the better solution.
And if you go back to that the way it is now, can't you just increase the route so they're more frequent? That then the people won't complain that you have it more?
So it's going to be the same number of buses running. It's not going to make the trip that much longer. The issue is just that it's going, it makes it more confusing. So this is part of the trade-offs in this thing, right? Is that when you look at this route on a map or on a schedule, it's actually going to have a square. So you're kind of not going to be able to tell when you come down Jefferson and then you go Plymouth over to Genesee. There's going to be a big square, and it's going to be hard to tell where the bus is actually going to go. So it's something, right? But it's something that's manageable. So it just makes the route a little bit more complicated, but it's manageable. And so now
Well,
that seems like
that's not any different than the rest of the maps I
Right.
got already out.
Right.
well, right, but that's what we're trying to avoid. That's why we're doing this.
But guess what? I get on that bad boy and I ride. And sometimes I miss, I don't know, I have to call. Someone have to call. Or I get my smartphone. Now, I don't care how poor the people are in my neighborhood, they got a smartphone. And that little text number right there tells you when that bus is coming. And that is the most convenient thing. And once I learned that, and I gotta go to where I gotta go on a consistent basis, I know what time I need to be out there to do my thing. And I know how much time I need to set aside or put before it. But see, if you start talking about eliminating the bus, which I heard you say, coming up, there's gonna be problems.
She told me we can solve it, John.
And she did come.
You know, sometimes you just say thank you, get out of here, and just make sure it's fit.
Well,
That's what she just told me.
Besides Magnolia, though,
She's-
is there something else? Is there anything else that you guys would want to talk
Plymouth.
about? Plymouth.
You can take the bus down Jefferson to Plymouth. I mean,
Right.
that's
No,
what
I'm
you're
saying we're
doing
gonna
now.
do we're gonna do that.
That's
We're
what
gonna
you
do
got
it.
to, I mean,
It's gonna happen.
All right, thank
I'll
you.
give you my card. And
but
you
you
can
also
call me,
said
but I'm
that
tell-
this proposal is going to be presented, and then if we have problems, we can come back to a meeting. So this is,
I'll-
to
I'll-
me, that's
Because I
saying,
didn't know if
this
my
is saying
boss
to me,
wanted
this
to
is
tell
going
you
to
right now
happen
we're
this
gonna
way.
change
Whether
it,
you
but
come
I-
here and talk 15 times, this is going to happen. That's what that's saying to me. Because that's how politics work.
But that was me not knowing if my boss was okay with me telling you right now that I'm going to change it. But he said that's fine, and so I'm telling you right now we're going to change it. And when
Thank
I go
you.
back into work, I'm going to call
But
the
it's going to be
consultant.
hard on you, Mr.
It's gonna be
Lightfoot, when you
tomorrow.
pick
It's not
another
gonna be
street.
Well, I understand politics.
Tomorrow.
We have to, track down.
Well, I don't know. They're in
ordinance, which I don't
California
like working
since
a whole
forever,
lot
really.
hard, but we have to. But Bill says we're gonna have to trust him, so we have to watch it. And if he says it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. Because if that bus doesn't, if it start being other product, we already got that word. I can't even pronounce it. Gentrification. or something.
Gentrification.
So if you start talking about the bus going down Jefferson, people are gonna be like, you really trying to get us out of here.
Right.
And it's going to just be a total,
It's gonna be total
fight
chaos.
around here because it's already
If you eliminate
some
Jefferson.
kind of tensions
Total
going on.
chaos.
So a
That's
little
what I
bit.
told her. That's why she put it back in. You can blame me for when it's going down. But no, you can credit
Let the
her.
buses should stay on the main streets or the wider streets.
Because if you think
The
about
smaller
Magnolia,
streets
you
is
gonna put
too
a
small.
shelter on Magnolia, a bus stop? No, just drive it down there. What's the purpose? I mean,
We're not going down Magnolia.
Magnolia is a small street.
Yeah.
So we're not going to go down
I know
that.
that. It was the part where we said we're not going to do
that's what they're
that.
saying. That's what they're saying.
Okay,
that when
we're
they're
not gonna
supposed to
do-
come out,
so-
you drive.
so-
I think that happens.
So
Oh,
short,
it's
and so
over there.
shorter term too, I will tell you that we will have the consultant's final recommendations that we will show to the board in August. And so they're in black and white in that report, which will be on the website and will be out to the public. The line will go down Jefferson to Plymouth over to Genesee.
Because I will tell you that if I see it and it's going down to Magnolia, I will be writing you a letter. I will be calling you too.
No, they said that's going to go. What
No, I'm
they
just
said.
gonna.
They're
And I will be
fine.
signing that letter with you.
But,
Okay.
are there any other concerns about the service in this area that anyone has that we should talk about before we break
Well,
up?
you said when you did your surveys that people wanted more service to come more frequent. So if they now come in 40 minutes, can't you increase that?
So the route it's on Jefferson and Arnett and that's every 30 minutes. The route that's on Plymouth is every 30 minutes. The 8 that goes down Main Street is every 15 minutes. The Genesee is every 15 minutes. So it is a little bit more of a walk to walk over to Genesee, but if you do walk over to Genesee, every 15 minutes. If you want to get on the bus on Jefferson or go a different route, it might be every 30.
I think that's fair. Is the bus still going to go down to one? A lot of people here do work at the U of R or Strong Hospital, and two, some was still happy about the bus going to the airport. I know one lady, I don't know. I know you talk that might be eliminated. So that may not be a big issue for us, but I'm just saying. And I've ridden the bus, but I see a lot of other folks are actually going downtown with their luggage. But one of the concerns was getting the bus out to the Walmart for the fresh fruits and vegetables. But if and we talked about this, if the West Ave is going to hit every 15 minutes, then they can get to West Ave or West Main or whatever, hop off, and the next bus will be taking them to Walmart in 15 minutes or less. So
This new plan?
Yeah, the new plan says that the 8 Chalai Avenue is going to run every 15 minutes. Whether it's the 8 Chalai or another bus, but it's going. One will be going every 15 minutes. So if you hop, if you go up Jefferson or walk to Main, which if you can, or whatever the case may be, West Ave, the bus will show up in 15 minutes or less, depending on the time you hit it. So you can get to Walmart, get groceries, and then head back in.
And to answer your first question, yes, all of those routes will still be going to URMC. They'll do the loop all around the hospital.
Okay.
So the pulling into our campus, library, that stuff is not.
Is it still always going to be where all the buses go downtown? I live at Landon. I like the 8 bus going all the way through the city. That's never going to happen again?
What? Buses aren't going downtown anymore?
No.
All of the routes that are not crosstown routes will still end at the transit center.
Okay.
So there will be those 2 crosstowns that we showed on the map. There are the Ridge Road and the Tolar.
But they'll still go to the center?
Yeah.
Do you have to get off the bus? I hate that.
So we want to say like we are.
Yes.
Okay.
Kind of. Pretty much.
For the most
But,
part.
yeah.
It ain't coming down your street, and none of the other ones. Is that right, Bill? Right.
But if
Bus.
you do get on that Jefferson bus now going south, you're going to have to go through the 19th Ward and stuff before you go somewhere else. But
You guys are losing people because you're making things too confusing.
You are.
Because people just want to get on the bus and know they're going to get to where you're making. This is just my opinion. I think you're making simple stuff, more confusing than it needs to be. That's just my opinion.
That's what consultants do. They don't live here. They don't understand. They don't know the people. They come in and make a decision. I worked at social service and retired from there after 38 years, and that's what they do. They come in, make things more complicated, and then they leave. They don't touch base with the residents that's affected by it, because that's how they make their money. It's
They
all
leave it
about
the same, they don't
politics
get hired
and money.
next
That
time.
rules the world, and the
So-
residents get lost.
So I just, because I've done about 60 of these, and I said to Julie, I can't do any more. The people who are happy aren't showing up anymore, okay? It's the people on Magnolia.
Right.
So the people that are saying, hey, I love it, when's it gonna happen? But I met with John within a week of this being put out. I met with the Democratic caucus. John had concerns. I met with him one-on-one with Julie. He said, you gotta come talk to the people. We are 55 days after this has been introduced. You're talking to the CEO of RTS, and she's just said it's gonna be changed. So please, you don't have to say thank you, but don't say we don't listen. Because I am worn out listening, and I
I'm
think we're
glad
making
you're
some
worn
good
out.
changes.
So
Why
I'm
don't you go
glad.
home with the headache this time, Bill?
Well, let me
I've
know
been having
before you
headaches.
change your mind.
Thank you very much for letting us know. It would have been a bad thing to happen. Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time.
Okay.